Good morning. Good morning. I got to get my phone to come back on. I just fell asleep. Okay. Good morning. Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tipster Tuesday. I just saw Rachel Hollis pop up as going live, and I was like, oh, that's so fun to compete with Rachel Hollis. Um, just kidding. It's not a competition, but it's just interesting to me. Because we're live a little bit earlier than normal, and I know these times change a lot for us, but it's really based on our schedules and different things like that, because we just have other things going on as well, or sometimes I have a guest come on to do Tipster Tuesday and their time doesn't line up either. So we try to just let you know what to expect the day before. So that's probably the best we're going to do. I would love to be even more consistent, but I might not do that for you. I feel like my head is crooked, but I think my computer's just crooked. Do you ever feel like that when you're live? Anyway, good morning. My name is Dana Moore. I'm a Presidential Diamond and co-owner of Live Naturally Tools. And every week we come in with a fun new topic for Tipster Tuesday, just to give you some business tips, tricks, advice. Sometimes it's skill set training, tool set training. But today's a little bit of mindset training, which, if you know me, I'm pretty practical, and I try to give you very real, tangible things to do in your business, not just ideas that are lofty without some concrete, like fundamental, how to put this into practice type of thing. So today we're going to talk about seeing and being seen. So I called it See and Be Seen. And a lot of times, a lot of my inspiration will come not only from like personal circumstances, but personal development, or also like I'm just recognizing that people probably need or could use a little pep talk in this area or coaching in this area. And so that's what kind of encourages me to find these topics. So I just remember a few weeks ago, I was driving home from Illinois, and this kind of like idea of like how to be seen in this industry kind of started to stir within my heart. And then other things have come up since that I was like, this is just a great topic to talk about. So we're going to chat about it. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is seeing. Okay. So this is some responsibility on you as a leader. And some of you might be so brand new to this business that you only have like, I want to say, you know, a couple customers on your team or whatnot. And some of you might be very experienced in this business, and you have a massive team, you know, and you have thousands and thousands and thousands. And so, but the concept of seeing our people is something that as leaders we need to rise to and figure out ways to show people that we see them. And the thing about that is that the reason that it matters is because I think fundamentally people die to be seen and to be recognized and to feel significant and to be known and to be appreciated. I mean, if we're thinking about it, like most of us tick that way, you know, most of us, even if we serve out of just love and gratitude and things like that, and maybe we're not ever even looking for a thank you, but the second somebody does notice us or get a handwritten note in the mail, it kind of blows your socks off, you know, you're just like, oh my gosh, they noticed me, like that means a lot to me. And so I want to talk to you about how to see your team for more than just potentially rank, because that's something that we do see and recognize, and I'm sure that you do, and it is really important. You won't hear me say that rank doesn't matter, because I think rank is a reflection of the work, and it does matter, okay? It absolutely matters, because if your rank doesn't matter, then my rank doesn't matter either. And if my rank doesn't matter, then yours certainly doesn't, because everything builds, right, upon this collective tribe that we have. So I feel like rank matters, but I'm not going to talk about that. I want to talk about other things, okay? I want to talk about you guys catching your people winning. And catching someone winning is specifically looking for good things that they are doing that can be noticed and encouraged and shouted out. And it doesn't necessarily have to be publicly. It could be privately in like a DM or a note or a card, but catch them doing something great. And so I'm going to give you a couple examples. And now, as I'm saying all this, you guys, and as I'm even creating content for you, there's conviction happening where I'm like, am I really seeing everybody? Am I really recognizing them? Do I see them and then it's a fleeting thought and I don't stop and like say, hey, I see you. That's incredible. Thanks for doing that, you know? And sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. And I want to get better at it. So I just want you to know this is a work in progress. And it's not like I spend all day long just scoring so well and seeing people and, you know, writing notes all day long. I'm not doing that, you know, but I am sending out a quick message when I think of it or when I see something that stands out. And so one thing you want to shout out and recognize or send a private note is consistent enrollments. We have a few people on our team that consistently enroll like 6 or 7 people a month without fail, consistently, but they're not necessarily top leaders. They're not necessarily flying through the ranks, but they have definitely mastered something in the art of networking and bringing in new leads. And they're quiet people. And so that is something like to look for where they might not be the biggest extrovert and they might not be the one signing up to lead a team call or contribute in that way, but their consistency matters. And that shows who they are, like their character. And so that's something you can shout out. It's like, wow, I just noticed how consistent you are. Like, it's incredible. What are your top 3 tips for being consistently a strong enroller? I'd love to share those with the team. You know, that's something that you could shout out. Something else you can look for and catch them winning is contribution. We run a huge Facebook group for our team, as I'm sure your team has that. You're either part of it or you run one yourself. And ours is, you know, obviously it's team only. It's called Live Naturally Community. And within there, there's about 16 or 17,000 people who are asking questions, you know, and obviously not all of them, but there's a lot going on in that group. And we have a huge admin team that helps us with that, just leaders that volunteer their time. But we also have just builders who are young builders. I wouldn't ever call them, they're not like young, like, you know, they're adults, but they're younger builders and they consistently answer questions and comment and give advice and participate in our Facebook group as if it's their own. And that's huge to me. And that's something that you can recognize and say, sorry, my glasses were itching my ear. That's something that you can recognize and say, you know, thank you for being such a valuable contributor. It's really incredible. It helps all of us and your advice is spot on, you know, and what's that going to do? It's going to cause them to want to continue the behavior they're recognized for, which is really a phenomenal, like, asset to what you have going on. Okay. So that's one thing. What about people who show up to like public classes and retreats and they come early and they're like, hey, do you need anything? Is there anything I can do to help? Those are people that you can recognize, that you can shout out to. Or what about the people who quietly stick around at the end and are super willing to pitch in a hand and clean up something? That means so much because I'm the one who's probably put in hours and hours and days of prep. And so when an event is finally over, I'm beat, you know? And so the people who stay to clean up, like, that matters to me. And those are the people that I want you to start to recognize and see them and catch them winning and be like, that means everything to me that you would stay and help. Like, it's a big deal. And they're like, it's no big deal. But you're like, no, but it really is a big deal. And it really does bless us and it really does help us. So keep those things in mind. Maybe someone has shown bravery and they've gone live. They've tried something new. They've revamped their classes to like step out and do something different. They've taken a risk, you know, those are things that you can catch people winning in. And more than just being like, hey, high five, you're a winner, you know, kind of thing. You can catch them winning in a way that it means a little more, like writing a note or sending a personal message and things like that. I just realized I went live in Live Naturally system instead of on Live Naturally tools, but that's fine. I just was like, oops, I should have done that. I hope nobody's looking for us. Okay. Regardless, we're going to keep going. The other thing about just seeing people is it's hard to see people if they're not doing things that are noteworthy. You know what I mean? And when I say that, I just mean like if they're hiding in the shadows and you overlook them, part of that onus is on them too. And so if you feel as a person, as a leader in this industry, as a builder, that people don't see you, I want to talk to you about how to be seen and what that looks like too. Actually, probably like this one a little bit more because it puts some ownership on ourselves and how we're showing up for things. And you know, seeing people is great, and you can only see what's in front of you. You know, you're not a mind reader. You can't see the stuff that's hidden that they're doing at home in secret. Like, you don't see those things. You can only see the stuff, the evidence in front of you. But being seen is something that is on you. And I feel like this hits home for every single builder, any rank, that you need to be seen. And so I want to talk to you guys about that. It just feels a little bit more important to me. And I think as a leader, when we started building, we're kind of the leaders in our area, you know, we're kind of the head of this movement that kind of happened in our area. And so we started doing public classes all the time. We started to do events a ton. And I just remember feeling the overwhelm of that and how much work that was, and how when people showed up and like said, I'm a valuable player in this, I'm a contributor in this, how much it meant to me, because they were willing to be seen and put themselves out there and serve. Okay. So when you want to show up, I just think, first, let me just say this. If you feel critical about your upline or anything else that's going on within doTERRA, I would challenge you to transfer your criticism into servanthood, because it's really easy and takes no skill whatsoever to criticize. But it takes a little more effort and energy to be part of the change of that, or to be part of the force that switches directions and turns the ship, or to be someone who makes it better, you know, who makes it great. And some of those things are completely unseen, but you know, because you show up with just a different kind of energy. So this one, I'm requiring you, I'm asking you to take some ownership of the things that are bothering you. Okay, so let's talk about Facebook, for example. Perhaps your upline has a Facebook group that doesn't have a lot of action maybe, or they are just too busy to really contribute a lot to it, or it just maybe has, like, you know, gotten dusty and doesn't have a lot of action. I don't know, you know, hypothetically, okay, say that's happening. Instead of being like, we just need to start a new Facebook group because she doesn't do anything, which is where the unskilled, untalented critic can come in. Or you could be like, you know what, we're going to do everything we can to be contributors in this. And I'm going to go through at night for 10 minutes and comment on everything. I'm going to go through and just be an encouragement, make sure that I'm giving clear advice. I'm going to post my favorite diffuser recipe or what I'm doing today. And I'm just going to add value to this group. And instead of being critical of what isn't happening, I'm going to be some energy. I'm going to blow some fresh wind into it. And I'm going to do so because I want to serve people, not because I'm like, I'm going to be the one to fix the group. You know, so there's attitude in there that will change everything. So just encourage you in that, in your leader groups as well, you guys, be seen as a leader. A lot of people want to be seen as a leader. They want to be recognized as a leader, and so they work really hard for the rank of a leader. Well, rank isn't everything in that sense, okay? So just because you hit gold doesn't mean that, like, now gold dust, like, comes out every time you fart, you know, and you just walk around in, you know, gold glitter and everyone should just be bowing down to you. That's not how it works, you know. It's not everything. If you want to be seen as a leader, show up as a leader and contribute. And a lot of times what I see happening is people gain their ranks, they pull away from everything and do their own thing, but then they gripe because their upline doesn't see them, recognize them. But I'm telling you, your upline doesn't know what you're doing because you're not part of the greater community. You're doing your own thing, you know, on your own terms, and you're kind of like hiding in the shadows. You're not showing up for anything. And then you're like, nobody sees me, no one cares, no one supports me. But, you know, in case you didn't know, just because your upline is a diamond or blue or presidential, they're not mind readers and they're not robots. They don't know. They don't know what's going on, okay? So you have got to show up and show what you're doing, you know, be seen in that way, because it's not just about rank, right? It's about servanthood. Okay, let's talk about, like, team retreats. If you guys have a team retreat, I would encourage you. Ours is actually coming up. We have like a big planning day for it today, and it's coming up in May, and it's my favorite retreat of the year. And it would not happen without contribution from everybody. Like, we really need all hands on deck for it. But if you have a retreat, there's a difference between going into it and be like, I hope this is good. Let's see. I wonder what she's got for me. I hope that people show up. I hope the speakers are good. I hope they stay on time. You know, I hope the food is good. Like you can criticize all day long, or you can show up and contribute and be like, I am going to make sure that I introduce myself to 10 new people. I'm going to make sure I find a new friend. I'm going to make sure no one feels left out. And I'm going to do things within this retreat that make sure that everybody else has an awesome time. I'm going to show up early. I'm going to smile. I'm going to, you know, do coffee runs. I'm going to be the person who makes this retreat great. And if you own it like that, and if everyone owned it like that, think about how much amazing energy your retreats would have, or your events would have, or a post-convention tour would have, or spring tour would have, because you show up as like, I own this, okay? This is my event. These are my people. This is what we do. This doTERRA is me, you know? And so like, I'm a reflection of that. You can come in with a bad attitude. You can come in late. You can come in with no guests. You could come in not caring, not saving seats. You can come in with all of those things, and guess what? The event's gonna suck because you sucked. And if you want the event to be great, you have to be great. And it's actually, it's as simple as that. It's extremely indicative of how you show up and the energy that you bring to an event and the way that you put yourself out there. And so I know I love when I step on someone else's toes, because you guys, I'm stepping on my own toes at the same time. And I think it matters in everything that you do in life, you know, and how we show up for everything. So consider that. Think about leadership and convention. You know, do you go to leadership convention being like, well, my upline didn't do anything for me. She didn't even bother to set reservations or have a lunch, or I don't even know if I saw her. You know, do you go in with that kind of attitude, or do you go in saying, hey, I'd love to organize a lunch. Can I do that? Can I take that on? Like, do you have any plans? Because I know that planning stuff is really a lot of work, but I'm more than happy to, like, you know, say, hey, we're all gathering here. Just kind of put it out there for anyone to join, you know. Do you do those things? Do you do that? Or do you just expect someone else to do it for you and criticize them when they're not? Like, there's a difference, right? At convention, are you like, hey, you know what? I'm going to get up early. I'm going to do a coffee run. I'm going to meet you all outside this door. You know, let's do this. Or, hey, I'd love to have a team picture. Can we organize that? What's the best way? Or do you just complain that it didn't happen? You know, there's so many ways that you can flip this to either be part of the solution or actually to be part of the problem. And if you're going to be critical and part of the problem, it's going to bring the energy of everything down. And it goes right into being seen, you guys, though, because the leaders who are showing up to support, to serve, to organize, to help plan, to say, like, put me in, coach, I'm ready to play, like, I want to do this, you know, those are the leaders that are seen the most and get the most attention. And then those are the leaders that you're like, she's her favorite, or she's, you know, always recognized, or all like Susie, 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 you know. But it's like, well, Susie's showing up as a valuable player. Susie's showing up to serve, and she's showing up with confidence, and she's showing up with a great attitude, and it all matters, okay? It all goes together. It's very, very cyclical. And I promise you, if you show up like that, you're going to model this behavior to your team, and they're going to show up like that too, okay? So even if you only lead a couple people, you can say, you guys, hey, you know, this is your first convention. I've been here a couple times. I know the drill. I know how this goes. I also know how stressful it can be, just with a lot of people. So these are some tips to make it great. This is what we're going to do to be a team that shines. You know, just encourage them. I want you to show up looking for a new friend. Find somebody that needs a friend. I'm like, you probably feel like you need a friend, but guess what? Somebody else does too. So find them and be that person. Be that kind of energy. Okay. So if you guys want to be seen, you have to be willing to contribute, and you have to be willing to contribute with joy, with humility, with an attitude to serve, and not with, I'm showing up to be seen, somebody better recognize me, and if they don't, then I'm gonna have a big chip on my shoulder, okay? It's not the same. It all depends on your attitude and the spirit behind what you're actually doing. But if we are all working at that, okay, if we're all working at seeing other people and calling them out when we see good things, like, hey, this is so great. Thank you for that. You know, thank you for the encouragement. Thank you for picking up the trash. Thank you for being the one to wash the dishes. Like, thank you for staying late and wiping down my counters. Or thank you for that, you know. Thank you for contributing on Facebook. Thank you for taking on so much ownership when, you know, I know that that's hard for you. Thank you for that. And then the flip side is just showing up that no matter what, you are going to bring energy into a situation, that you are determined, like, this convention is going to be the best convention ever because I'm going to make sure that it is, you know, or this post-convention tour or spring tour is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be so good because I am actually going to make sure that it is, because I'm going to show up and I'm going to serve. I'm going to volunteer at the door. I'm going to greet people. I'm going to smile. I'm going to be the energy in the crowd. I'm going to clap. You know, I'm going to show up and make it great. And that actually will change not only your own attitude about things, which might need a little bit of an adjustment, but it's also actually going to change the energy and shift things within the whole, you know, atmosphere of what's going on. So you guys, when we want to up-level our organization, when we want to up-level doTERRA, when we want to up-level our team, when we want things to rise, when we want to up-level our Facebook game, when we want things to change, we actually have to up-level ourselves and the way that we show up and the way that we contribute, and everything else will rise as well, okay? But when you're not showing up and you're not participating and you're just criticizing and you're wondering why things won't change and things feel like kind of flat or frustrating to you, it's actually because of the way that you're showing up. And that's really the only thing that you can control, and the only thing that you can change is to see other people and then to work on being seen. And one of my friends, Cami Buchta, she's a Blue Diamond, and she's great at this. And I heard her say one time, like, let me see you, like, let me see you, you know, don't hide. Like, and I love that, because I always think that, I'm like, let me see you. Who's letting me see them right now? Who are my people? Who can I count on to do, you know, X, Y, and Z? Who do I want as a panelist for our retreat, because they're being seen and they're consistently doing the work, and they have been without recognition, but now it's time to give it to them, right? Now it's time to, like, let them shine in that. So think that through, you guys, and I would even challenge you today to go through, and even right now, go through and maybe go into your leader's Facebook group and contribute, you know, just say, I'm going to take 5 to 10 minutes. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to set a timer and I'm going to contribute in a big way. I'm going to be somebody who says, hey, I want to just give right now. Maybe nobody will see it and maybe nobody will recognize it, but you showed up to it, okay? So think that through. Think about the next event that you have coming up. Think about the spring tours that are about to, like, launch and go, and think about how you're going to show up. Reach out to your upline. Is there any way I can volunteer? Does anybody need anything? I'd love to help. If that comes up, let me know. I'm your person. I'm in this. I want to do this. Think those things through, and then think about people that you need to see, and maybe get out some notes and write a note and say, hey, I just wanted you to know that, like, you're a huge contributor to our team, and every time you're around, it actually changes the energy of things because you show up with such positivity, and I super appreciate that, and I just wanted to send you this chapstick, you know, something like that. It totally matters, you guys. It totally matters, and you'll see that the energy and the contribution, like, within your own team will change. You'll see the way you feel about events will change because you're determined to show up to give instead of to receive. And you will be seen in those things. People will see you, and it might not be the recognition you're looking for. You know, Emily Wright's probably not going to call you on stage at convention and give you a trophy. You know, that's just, you can bet on that not happening, right? However, people on your team will see you as a leader, and people will start to come to you for questions, and they'll start to know, like, hey, she's trusted. She shows up. She's always here. She's got great things to say. She doesn't ever make me feel dumb about my questions, and she's amazing. And you'll start to rise as a leader, and that is what makes you a leader. It's not just your rank, and it's not just your position, or it's not just if you're a qualifier or not. None of those things actually create a leader. It's the way that you serve and the way that you contribute when you're in those types of settings where you're like, hey, this is your time to lead, or it's your time to follow and complain. Like, you get to choose, right? So I just want to encourage you that, because I feel like if we do this within ourselves, if we lead ourselves first and rise this, like, attitude and this this opportunity to see and be seen within ourselves and then within our teams, like all of doTERRA rises, right? And then we continue to be the best essential oil company on the planet. And we continue to knock our competitors out of the water, and we continue to bring freedom to people's lives, physically, emotionally, mentally, financially, the whole thing. But if things aren't working well from the ground up within ourselves, like it's not going to work well overall, right? So if we can all just continue to do that, this is going to be the best. And it actually, don't think that you're unimportant. Be like, it doesn't matter. My attitude doesn't matter to doTERRA, but I would say that actually it does. It absolutely matters to doTERRA, and it matters to your team, and it matters to you and your own growth. So jump in, guys. Find someone to see today. Find 3-5 people that you can see and say, hey, I see you. And it's fine if they watch this too. That doesn't matter, right? Because we're all growing. I'm like, I feel convicted. I'm like, hey, who else can I reach out to? Who do I need to, you know, give a little boost to? Who can I take a minute to encourage? I have that time, you know? And then how can I contribute? How can I be like, have more energy? What can I post to bring some like education or some life or some, you know, encouragement to the group? What can I do? You know, how can I volunteer? How can I contribute? Start thinking about those things. And every single day I'm asking you guys to wake up and think, what can I contribute to? How can I contribute to making this better? And if you do that and you contribute that way, you have such significance and purpose in that. I promise you, your attitude is going to be better. Your work ethic is going to be better. Your motivation to continue to move this train of your business forward is going to be better, because it all comes down to these attitudes that we have within ourselves. And if you catch yourself being critical, or if you know that that's actually like your bent, like if you're like, I kind of lean in that direction, find a partner that can hold you accountable and say, hey, you asked me to tell you when you're sounding critical, and you just sound a little bit critical right now. So go do something that you can contribute and come back and tell me how you contributed. And I know you're going to feel so much better. But find a good friend, a trusted friend that can say, like, stop doing that. That's not okay. Like, let's be part of the solution and not contribute to the problems, right? And every team has problems, you guys. Every organization lacks something. Like, that's life. Yeah, you know, nothing is perfect, and everything is a work in progress. And that's great, right? Because we're constantly growing. We constantly need to continue to plug in, to personally grow, to plug into our faith, to work on ourselves. Like, if we arrive, it's kind of like, well, what's the point of waking up anymore? You know, like, we're never perfect. We haven't arisen or arrived at that yet. So all that to say, there's problems everywhere. And sure, you can find them if you look for them, but there's also beauty, and there's also stellar people that are shining that need to be recognized, and there's goodness everywhere too. And so I'm just asking you to have eyes to see those things instead of the problems, okay? So that's it. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to go plan our retreat with Jenna and rock that out. And hopefully our retreat is going to be the best retreat ever. But we do have awesome leaders that contribute that we absolutely love. So sorry if you were trying to find us on Live Naturally Tools and I accidentally jumped into Live Naturally System instead. I'm trying to put it all on the Facebook page. But if you have a friend that was like, I didn't see it, where'd she go? It'll be in Live Naturally Tools, and then obviously on Instagram for 24 hours. So the other thing I'll just say before I go, you guys, is we are like this close to 10,000 followers on Instagram. And if we have 10,000 followers on Instagram, then when we link in our labels or have a sale, we'll be able to swipe up and you'll just be directed straight to the website, which just makes it a little bit easier for you to get our tools. So if you have team members that aren't following us on Instagram yet, I just ask you to say, hey, go follow Live Naturally Tools on Instagram. If they're building in doTERRA and, you know, love the advice, the tips for Tuesdays, you know, and can benefit from what we have to offer, that's who we want following us, okay? We're not paying followers just to get to 10,000. We're looking for real people who could really benefit and help us get there, okay? So we're like 500 away or something like that. So I think we can do it maybe by the end of the month. Help us out. Okay, thanks everybody. Have an awesome week.